Alright guys, today we're going to be cutting this giant poplar. It's from a tree that I found down in the hollow that had been blown over, so it's a salvage tree. It was a huge tree, uprooted, wind blew it over. You can see I had to drag it a long way, so it's got a lot of dirt on it. So, you know, usually that would dull your blade. I got this debarker, it cuts through all the bark and the dirt and helps keep the blade from getting dull, but it's not real good to have this much dirt on it, but I think it'll be fine. We're trying to cut 12-inch wide boards for the timber frame barn. This is going to be siding, and this poplar, it'll be green on the inside, so watch to the end and you'll see what this stuff looks like. It doesn't stay that color, but when you first cut it, it's going to be green on the inside. Stick around to the end and we'll show you what it looks like. Now I didn't realize that it was this much dirt on this log. This log is really, really dirty. So of course the debarker is doing its job. It cuts a groove where that blade can travel. But again, I didn't realize it was this dirty. It's the dirtiest log I've ever put on the sawmill. Now, I don't have a good way to wash it off, so I probably would have cut it anyway. But the reason it's so dirty is when I cut this thing, I had to go down in a deep hollow. And the dozer wouldn't pull it out, pulling out straight. So I had to turn the dozer around down there, and I got on the log. Had to get another tree to put on the track so I could get off the log. I bottomed out on top of the log, and so it was a mess. And so that log was just rolling around in the dirt down there. So that's the reason it's so dirty and muddy. Yeah, you can see that mud, that dirt just caked on there. But it was a beast getting this log out. It was one that fell. The wind blew it over. It fell down in the hollow, and I didn't want it to go to waste, so I went down there to get it. But yeah, it's really, really dirty. Now what you see here is you see the return feed. It's those teeth that come down, looks like fingers on the back side, that keeps the board straight when you're pulling your board back. And then the ones on the front, I don't know if you can see them, that's what pulls the board back as a return. I don't use that a lot because I pick it up with my tractor a lot of times with the grapple. And so, you know, I don't use that return feed a lot, but whenever I'm loading it onto a trailer, like you'll see in some of the videos, and my kids are helping me out loading it, then I'll use that return feed. But most of the time, like I said, I pick it up by the grapple and just bring it to the barn, because if I'm putting barn siding on it, or wherever I'm using it, I'll just cut what I need for that day and then install it or whatever. So I don't really need to use that return. I used my tractor grapple to pick it all up. And one of the good things about this mill is you can flip it really easy. It's a hydraulic mill. You don't have to have a log turner and use your back. It does it all on its own with the joystick and controls. These boards end up being 12 inches wide, which is kind of wide, but you know, it covers a lot more area. I just put a few more nails in it so it won't warp as bad. This mill also has a Wood-Mizer, which lubes the blade as it's going through the mill. It's it works pretty good in keeping that blade cool. Now when you're cutting poplar, it's like cutting butter. It's softer than pine on the sawmill blade. So I mean, you can run a blade. I literally broke a blade on this log because I ran it so long, and it was still cutting like it was sharp. Poplars are really soft wood that it's considered a hard wood, but it's softer than pine. So you can run a blade a long time in poplar. In reality, I can cut enough wood for a day's work in less time than it takes me to go get wood from a store. I mean, if I cut a tree and have it cut up just about before I can go to the store, especially if I have the log already cut. This thing takes, I mean, this log probably took me, probably took me 30 minutes max to cut it up, and that's under exaggerating. It really does take just a little bit of time to cut these things up. Let's look at these boards and I'll show you how green this poplar is when you first cut it. This piece is pretty clear. It does have this one green knot here, but as you get closer to the center, this is what you're going to see. And I'll show you on the side of this log, because I'm going to pick these logs up with a grapple, so I don't want to unstack them and have to restack them. But you see what you see. See how green that is? That's poplar, called Tulip poplar. These boards ended up being 12 3/4 inches wide, which will give me good coverage on the barn. Hopefully they won't warp, but I'll put 3, maybe 4 nails in them since they're so wide. But these will be bored and batten to hold them down as well.